Just a quick warning. It is very hot today, so I probably won't be playing for very long.
Hello and welcome to Essentials for Popular Music. In this learning path, you'll build core drumming skills like playing a 4-on-the-floor groove, adding ghost notes, and nailing the timing of your drum fills. These essentials will help you play your favorite songs with more confidence and control. If you need any help setting up your drums, tuning, or playing along with the Musora app, check out the videos in this 3-dot menu anytime you need them. And when you're ready, grab your sticks and let's dive into your first practice session. Hello.
Everybody, today we are going to be learning what is commonly referred to as 4 on the floor. Now, many of you have done a money beat where you're playing kick drum on 1 and 3 and snare drum on 2 and 4. And in a 4 on the floor, the only change is that now we're gonna play our kick drum on every downbeat. So instead of on 1 and 3, we're playing it on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the challenge of this is going to be that now on beats 2 and 4, you're not just playing your snare drum and your hi-hat, you're now playing 3 limbs at the same time. So that's a little bit of extra coordination, but you're going to do great. We're going to start with the basic beat that you already know, and then we're going to hop right into changing it up. Okay, so we've done this before. We know how to play a nice money beat, so I'm going to count us off. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now take a second, settle in, get comfortable. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the first adjustment that we're gonna make is that I'm gonna go ahead and take out the snare drum. So we're gonna do that right here. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's sit here for a second. Think about the counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna be playing our kick drum on every one of those downbeats. So here, I'll count us in, and then we'll do it together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. All right, good. You're doing great. Stay with me here. And we're thinking about this kick drum is really lining up with our hi-hat. It's lining up with the click. Everything's nice and steady together. Now, if we add our snare drum back in, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna add it on beats 2 and 4, just like we were doing before. So I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And you're keeping your kick drum going the whole time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You're doing great. Stay with it. Now this is a really fun beat to play if you want to get people kind of dancing, bobbing their head, or if you want your backbeat to be a little heavier. And for me, one of the best times to play a 4 on the floor is if you happen to notice that the bass player in the band is also playing quarter notes. So if the bass player is playing every beat, you might like to match that by matching your kick drum with them. So let's just hang out here for a little bit. We want it to feel good, so if you're feeling any tension, see if you can relax it. Good job. Now we've got the basic beat down. You're lining up on 2 and 4. You've got all 3 limbs going. If we want to, we could start adding saying crashes, let's say every 4 bars, we might add a crash. So I'll count us into the first one. Here we go. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Crash. Good job. 2. Every 4th bar, so we go 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Crash. Good job. Now sometimes the challenge after a crash is to get right back on that next beat. So let's try that this time. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Crash and 2 and good job. Hopping right back on after you hit a crash without slowing down or moving one side or another, that's one of those great skills that'll make people really confident in your time placement. So good job. We're gonna finish with playing the beat. Here we go. We'll end with a crash. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash. Great job. That is a really cool beat to play. It's called 4 on the Floor. You'll find all sorts of contexts and styles where that'll happen. So that's the basics, getting kick drum on every single downbeat. You did a great job. Congratulations. I'm going to keep working on this in the next one.
Starting to play drum fills in different places. And this is really important because as drummers, we need to learn how to be flexible, because sometimes a song will require a drum fill that starts on beat 2 or beat 3 or beat 4, and we need to be ready for anything. So in this video, we're going to start with some drum fills that happen on beat 4. And we're going to use 2 different drum fills today. The first one is going to be an 8th note drum fill on the floor tom and the snare drum. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 notes played on beat 4 and the end of beat 4. The second one is a 16th note drum fill. We're going to play it on the snare drum. 1, 2, 3, 4, E, and A. So those are the 2 fills we're going to use today. We're going to start by playing a money beat on the hi-hats and focusing on that drum fill with the floor tom and the snare drum. And we're going to end every fill with a crash cymbal. Let's go. So here's the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try the 8th note fill. 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 1. So it's a nice short fill, but it's super effective. Here's the fill. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Let's try using the other crash cymbal. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, now we're going to try the 16th note fill. That's going to sound like this. There's 4 notes on the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Remember, you can count all the 16th notes. 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. All right, we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to play the same fill all on the first rack tom like this. Same rhythm, just different sound. 3 and 4 E and a 1. Nice work. All right, we're going to change things up once more. Let's move that fill to the floor tom now. Same rhythm. 2, 3, 4, E and a 1. Bit of a lower sound. 2, 3, 4, E and a 1. All right, a few more times, then we'll end. And here's the last time. 3 and 4, E and a 1. Well, there you have it. Those are a few different drum fills you can use that start on beat 4. Some were 8th notes, some were 16th notes. You can mix and match and have a lot of fun with these and move them around the drum kit in lots of different ways. So with that, I'll see you in the next one.
Drummers, one of the funnest things that we get to do on the drum kit is to try and play fast, to really try and push those tempos. But one of the common tendencies for a lot of drummers as you play faster is to tense up and really get worn out very quickly. So in order to play fast comfortably, you have to really be aware of your grip, your motions, and just the way you're playing the drums. So that's exactly what we're going to start working on today. We're going to take some standard quarter and 8th note grooves and really try to bring our attention to what we're doing, how we're holding the sticks, the motion we're doing with our limbs, so that we can really stay comfortable even as we get faster and faster. So let's jump right in. Let's play a quarter note groove on the ride, and I'll let you know what to do from there. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and. All right. We're starting nice and simple. But again, we're really honing in on what our limbs are doing. So let's take a look at our left hand. Notice you want the stick to naturally kind of rebound off the drum head. It's not this. I don't need to do this. But more importantly, I really don't want to do this. You want to try that with me? It takes a lot of energy. For me, it's really uncomfortable. So make sure you're not digging that stick into the drum head. It should bounce off naturally. And same thing with your right hand, right? A little bit of rebound off the cymbal. It's not that, right? The easiest way to do that is just stay relaxed. Nice wrist stroke, a little bit of arm. So we're nice and relaxed here. Let's see what happens when we go faster. See if we can crash into the hi-hat. We're going to play 8th notes. Ready? Let's try that. Start with the crash, 8th notes on the hi-hat. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. All right. So we're playing faster. Gotta stay relaxed. It's also a little smaller range of motion, right? So anytime we play faster, we kind of got to move the sticks in a smaller range of motion, right? We have less time to play each note. So I'm still wrist, a little bit of arm. Take a look at your wrist. What does it look like? You want to make sure it's not locked, and we're not doing any silly stuff like that, right? We're just trying to stay relaxed. All right, let's see if we can make this transition back to the ride cymbal. Ready? We'll crash and then play quarters on the ride. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Whew. So breathe, nice and relaxed. Loose grip. Let's try that transition again. Back to the hi-hat. 8th note. Here we go. 1, ready, and. Woo, we're relaxed. We're having fun. We're just working on playing faster, focusing on our grip as we do it. Let's go back to the ride one more time. Play a crash, then play quarters on the ride. Here we go. 1, ready, and. All right, before we end here, think about how you're sitting. Let's think about our posture. Nice and straight. You don't want to, if you feel your back kind of condensing like that, sit nice and straight. We're really just trying to avoid anything that's going to wear us out or make us uncomfortable so that we can play faster, because that's what we want to do. All right, this will be the last time we'll end this practice. Let's end with a big crash. 1, 2, ready, and. All right, very nice work. So, seemingly simple grooves, right? We're playing quarter notes, we're playing 8th notes. We're not too fast just yet, but we're really trying to draw our attention to our grips, our motions, and really stay relaxed as we get faster and faster and faster. So, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, everybody. Today we are working on 4 on the floor. This is a really great beat. You'll find it all over the music, especially if it's really kind of dancey, driving music. So we're gonna get some practice on this. We're gonna start with a basic money beat, and then we're gonna add kick on all 4 downbeats, and then we'll play around a little bit. We'll experiment, but we just want to get some repetition and some practice on playing 4 on the floor confidently. So here we go. Let's get this beat started. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3. All right. We'll take a second here just to get comfortable. 1, 3. Okay, now we're gonna add kick drum to beats 2 and 4. So here we go. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And it's okay if there's a bit of an adjustment period, but let's settle right in, nice and easy. We all love to see a drummer that's like nice and relaxed and having a good time, so take a breath, enjoy. This is a great practice, just playing 4 on the floor. You'll make your band happy, especially if they're playing quarter notes. The bass player's playing quarter notes and you're playing, matching them with your quarter notes. It really starts to lock in, and we love that feeling. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And part of the coordination here is really getting comfortable playing your snare snare drum and your kick drum together, which is a new skill. We haven't done too much of that yet. So it's okay if it takes a second to really get comfortable with it. But see if you can listen to where your placement is and get those all really lined up on the backbeat on beats 2 and 4. Now this is a 4 on the floor, and when you're playing 4 on the floor, you might want to switch it up a little bit. You might want to play a different type of feeling for the choruses. And one common way to do that is to simply take your right hand and move it over to the ride cymbal. So we're going to do that. Nothing's going to change except for the placement of our right hand is going to move from the hi-hat on the left side, or whatever side you have it on, to the right side. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, and switch to ride. 2. Nice. Good job. See how that's got the same feeling, but maybe a little bit of like a lighter vibe to it, where it's nice and resonant. You might do this in a chorus or in a bridge. Now, let's start adding in a little bit of crash cymbal. And we're gonna just do that on the downbeat. We'll do it every 4 bars, so we'll do it on this next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash. Good job. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash. And when you hit that crash, that's your downbeat. Like, that's nice, strong. So hit it like you mean it, right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash. Good. Now you won't always hit a crash every 4 bars. A lot of times you'll wait till the beginning of a new section, but the skill is what we're practicing. 3, 4, and crash. Good job. This is such a solid beat. It's so nice and steady. If you pull this out with a band in the right context, you'll get everybody dancing. And honestly, that's one of the best feelings as a drummer. If you can get people bobbing their heads, you see that happening, that's a good sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash. All right, you're doing a great job playing 4 on the floor. I'm proud of you. This is hard, but you're doing great. This is gonna be the last time. 2, 3, 4, and crash. Great job. This is some really important practice. We're really learning how to do 4 on the floor. So thank you so much for playing with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right.
Hey everyone, in today's practice session, we're going to work on starting drum fills on beat 3. So these are all going to be 2-beat drum fills that happen over beats 3 and 4. The first one we're going to use is on the floor tom and the snare drum, and it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The second one is going to be a 16th note drum fill. So this is going to be 8 notes played on the snare drum. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. And as we move along, we're going to move that up to the rack tom and the floor tom as well. So grab your sticks. We're just going to start with a money beat over here on the ride cymbal, and then we'll start with that floor tom. All right, so let's start with just the groove on the ride. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Let's just play this a few times. And here's the fill. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and ending with a crash. Here's the fill. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So every 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. 1, 2, 3, and. 1, job. 1, 2, and 4, and. Okay, now we're gonna move to the next fill on the snare drum. Let's try that now. 1, 2, 3, E and a 4, E and a 1. Here it is again. 2, 3, E and a 4, E and a 1. One, two. One, two. All right, we're gonna try moving the second group of 4 up to the rack tom. 4 notes on each. 1, 2, 3, E and 4, E and a 1. Okay, now let's try moving it down to the floor tom, like this. Still 4 notes on each. 1, 2, 3, E and a 4, E and a 1. 1, 2. We're almost done. All right, this is gonna be the last time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there you go. Those are some drum fills starting on beat 3. Again, just a different way to play drum fills starting in a different place. And this is so important because you never know what the song is going to require, and you want to be able to start that drum fill anywhere in the measure. So nice work, and I'll see you soon.
All right, let's keep working on playing our grooves faster and faster, but doing it in a very relaxed way. So we're going to start out with a quarter note groove on the ride, and the focus for today is going to be about adding crashes. I want to give you some tips on how you might make it easier on yourself as you play faster and try to add in crash cymbals. So let's start with the quarter note groove on the ride. I'll let you know what to do. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and. All right, nice and easy to start here. Remember, relaxed grip, letting the stick rebound. We're not doing this, right? Nice and relaxed. Breathe. This is fun. So let's try an eighth note transition. We're gonna play a crash and move over to the hi-hat with eighth notes. Here we go. 1. Ready? All right, how's that transition feeling? Remember, relax. Check out your wrists now. Nice and relaxed. Moving a little bit from the elbow, but not locked. This should still feel comfortable. All right, let's try that transition again. Let's go crash, the quarter notes on the ride. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. if we're over here on the ride, you could play a crash with your right hand, either on the right side or the left side. Let's try that. I'm gonna play on my left side. 1, add a crash. Not too bad, right? Let's try playing that same crash with our left hand, like this. Alright? Let's try that again, just for some practice. 1, ready. You could even, if you have 2 crashes, you could play a big double crash, both hands. Let's try that. Yeah, how's that? Try it one more time. Here we go. 1, ready, and. All right, let's do that one more time. We're gonna take a break. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do next. 1, ready, and. All right, man, this is good. We're working on crash cymbals, playing them in different ways. But the reason we bring this up is because now if we want to transition to the hi-hat and play eighth notes, you could imagine it might be a little challenging to play, for example, a big double crash and then immediately come back to the hi-hat for those eighth notes. So a very common thing that you can do and a lot of drummers do is after they play a crash is to leave out the very next note after the crash. So rather than playing a crash to the end of one on the hi-hat like this, you can see how fast of a motion that is. You can leave out that first note and come back on beat 2, like this. So you see how much more time I have to get over here for my hi-hat groove. So let's try that. Let's end our practice today. Let's go back to our quarter note groove on the ride, and we're gonna try a big double crash, leaving out the hi-hat note right after that. So let's start on the ride. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Okay, so let's think about this. We're gonna play a big double crash. And if you just have one, you could just play your right-handed crash. That's okay. And then when we come over to the hi-hat, we're gonna leave out the and of one and just start on beat 2 with eighth notes. Let's try it once. And we'll try it a couple times so you get a couple shots. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. See what I mean? So we're leaving out one note to make it a little bit easier to get over here. So let's go back to the ride. We're gonna try this one more time before we stop. We'll crash, go to quarter notes on the ride. Here we go. Ready? So let's try this one more time. Ready? Crash to beat 2 on the hi-hat. 1, 2, ready, and. How's that, right? A little tricky at first. All right, let's end it here. Ready with a big crash? 1, 2, ready, and. All right, there you go. So this is an incredibly useful tool as you get faster and faster. And don't worry, I know we jumped in pretty quickly there at the end. Remember, the goal here is not perfection. It's okay if we're making mistakes. We're gonna get a lot more practice on this when I see you next time.
Hey everybody, today we're going to keep practicing our 4 on the floor. We're going to start out doing our basic 4 on the floor beat, which hopefully by now is starting to feel a little bit comfortable. And then we're going to go from there. We're going to experiment a little bit with some placements, but keeping that 4 on the floor steady. So here we go. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 3, 4. Good. We're going to keep playing this groove for a few minutes, so let's really settle in here, get comfortable. One of the awesome benefits of this Drumeo method is that the entire time we're playing along to music, this is what it'll actually feel like in context. So here's our basic 4 on the floor groove. We're gonna add a crash every 4 bars. And so I'm gonna eventually we might switch over to the ride cymbal, but we're still gonna hit the crash on every downbeat. 2, 3, 4. Stay on the hi-hat for now. 2, 3, 2. Getting really comfortable with that right foot, just really staying on every downbeat. Nice and solid. 3, 4, and crash. Good job. On the next before, we're gonna switch to the ride. We're still gonna play that crash. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash, and 2. Good job. One, two, three, four, and crash. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash. Now, playing on the ride cymbal is a really nice alternative way of playing your beat. You can also play that same right hand pattern on any other drum. You could play it on a tom, you could play it on the rim, you could leave it out altogether. But what we're gonna experiment with next is switching it to the floor tom. Not yet, but what I want you to think about is keeping that nice steady eighth note, even though it's on a different drum. Okay, on the next group of 4, we're gonna switch. That right hand is gonna be playing the same thing, but we're just moving it down to that floor tom. We're still gonna hit that crash though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. Okay, nice, good job. Now you can feel this is kind of heavier, right? Kind of a cool feeling. So you might play this in a breakdown, or if you're playing a really heavy song. It's a nice alternative version while still keeping that 4 on the floor. And you'll notice that the floor tom bounces a little different, so you might have to adjust your technique a little bit. That's okay. 1, 2, still playing that crash, and 1. Now, just for fun, we've been moving the right hand around, but you could also move the left hand around. So what I'm going to do is on beats 2 and 4, I'm still playing my left hand, but on beat 4, I'm going to move it to the rack tom. Just another alternation, you know? We just want to have a lot of options. So here we go. We're going to go 1 snare, 2 tom, 1 snare, 4. So that right hand is just moving in between those 2 drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1. Good job. We're gonna end with a crash. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Great job. Now I know I threw a lot at you that time, but you kept up the whole time. So good job. We've got our money beat. We got our 4 on the floor. We're switching to the ride. We're switching to the toms. At this point, everyone's like, this drummer can do anything. So good job. We're having fun with it. This is 4 on the floor, and you're doing great.
Welcome here, everyone. In this video, we're going to start practicing our drum fills starting on beat 2. So these are all going to be 3-beat drum fills that happen over beats 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to be practicing 2 fills specifically in this video. And the first one starts like this.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1.
So that's an 8th note fill with the floor tom and the snare drum. The second fill we're going to play is a 16th note drum fill. So this is all going to be on the snare drum to start.
1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. One more time. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a.
So it's almost a full measure, but we don't play any drum fill on beat 1. So we're going to start with just a money beat on the hi-hats. We're going to practice that 8th note fill with the floor tom and the snare drum, and we're going to end everyone with the crash. So let's jump in now.
Here we go with the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. next drum fill. 16 notes on the snare. Here we go. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 1 and. So it's a longer fill. 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and a. One and now, if I take my left hand away for a second, you'll notice I'm just playing 8 notes. So just remember that if you're having trouble with this one. One and 2, 3, 4. All right, let's play the money beat just for a minute here. We're gonna move this fill around the kit a little bit differently now. We're gonna go a group of 4 on the snare, then a group of 4 on the rack tom, then a group of 4 on the floor tom. That's gonna sound like this. Here we go. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and a 4 E and 1. So all around the kit. Here we go. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Try it again. Now, if you have a mid tom on your kit, you can try this. Try again. Just a different sound, but doesn't matter which drums you use. Let's go back to the floor tom. Few more times. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And last time here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, there you go. Some drum fills starting on beat 2. You're seeing these are getting quite long, and sometimes that's exactly what you need in a drum fill that really transitions into that next section or that part of the music you want to emphasize. So nice work. I'll see you soon.
Let's get some more practice today, pushing our tempos faster and faster, but doing so in a very relaxed way. So we're gonna jump right in, we're gonna play a quarter note groove on the ride, and then we're gonna continue working on leaving some hi-hat notes out as we play crashes, so it's a little bit easier on us as we play faster. So let's start over here on the ride. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Starting out nice and simple. We're a little bit faster today, so let's settle in. But remember, check in on your grip. Nice and relaxed. Left hand, a little bit of rebound off the snare. Right hand, a little bit of rebound off the cymbal. Nice open, relaxed stroke. Wrist and elbow. You should feel super comfortable right now. Alright, let's try and work a couple crashes. Let's try playing a crash with our left hand. When we do that, we can actually keep playing the ride cymbal on the downbeat too. Let's try that. Ready? Left hand. 1, 2, ready, and. Very nice. Let's do that one more time. Try both hands on the crash. Double crash. 1, 2, ready, and. So a bigger motion, but still relaxed, right? 1, ready. like you would a crash cymbal. That works too. Real quick, think about your posture. Sitting up nice and straight. Still relaxed. Alright, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna play a big double crash and move to eighth notes on the hi-hat. We're gonna use our little trick. We're gonna leave out the hi-hat note right after the crash cymbal. Okay? So we're gonna come over to the hi-hat on beat 2. Alright, let's think about that. Let's try it now. Ready? 1, 2, to the hi-hat. Breathe. Playing faster now. Still relaxed. Alright, let's go back to the ride. Ready? With the crash. Ready. And. We're going to try and apply that same trick to playing on the floor tom. So we're going to play a big double crash and then move to eighth notes on the floor tom. But I want you to try and leave that first note out. Ready? Let's think about that. We're going to come down on beat 2 with both hands. Here we go. To the floor tom. 1, 2, ready, and. All right, new sound. Let's try that one more time. Let's crash and go back to the ride. 1, 2, ready, and. All right, let's take one more shot at it. We're gonna play a double crash, and then eighth notes on the floor tom, leaving out that first note. Ready, 1, 2, 3, and. And one quick thing here before we stop. Remember, we were working on playing a crash with our left hand. Also super useful here. If we want to play a crash, 2, 3, 4. We don't have to bring our right hand up, right? All right, let's end it here. 1, 2, 3. All right, there you go. So you see what we're doing. We're working on playing faster, but kind of picking out some tips and tricks along the way that will really help you stay relaxed as you do so. So I hope this is feeling a little more comfortable. We'll push that tempo even a little bit farther next time.
Hey everybody, today we're working on 4 on the floor. We're going to add some little variations and have some fun with it. So let's hop right into our basic 4 on the floor groove. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. 1, 2, 3. All right, this is a nice steady groove. You can never get too much of this basic 4 on the floor. We're gonna play around with some of our placement. We're gonna move some hands around. But we got plenty of time. We're just settling into the groove. Remember, even as we're learning, we're playing music. Like, this feels good. This is fun. So just enjoy it. Even when we're working on something that seems like it's challenging, or if it seems like it's easy, we're also practicing just staying in the moment, staying in the pocket, and having fun. So here's our basic 4 on the floor groove, nice and open. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're just gonna move the right hand to the floor tom. So not yet, but here we go. I'll count us off. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, the particulars of the technique. We're just trying to make it feel good, We want it to feel nice and steady. So this is a nice basic 4 on the floor. You're doing great. Now we're gonna move beat 4 on the left hand. We're gonna move it to the rack tom. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might add this as a variation in a song. Maybe you want to change it up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And right now we're just playing a quarter note on beat 4. But another option would be to play 2 eighth notes there, like on 4 and, right? So we're gonna do that. It's a little bit of extra coordination, but I think we can do it. So on this next one, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and good job. 3 and 4 and 1, and 2 and 3 and 4. That's a cool feel. I could hear this on all kinds of different dance songs. Maybe this is what you play in the bridge, or just as a variation on whatever else you're playing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I love the movement of this. I love the motion of it. I think it's really nice. I like the way it sounds. And so on beats 4 and the and of 4, you got both your hands playing together. Make sure they're nice and lined up. We really want to get everything kind of sitting right in the pocket together. So really focus on every beat, nice and steady. Drummers aren't allowed to get bored. We have to stay engaged the whole time. Even if it's simple, even if it's really difficult, we got to stay right with it. And if you can have fun just playing a nice 4 on the floor, then half the job is done. The rest of it is we're just trying to put on a good show. We're trying to have fun, play good music. So you're doing great. This is kind of an advanced skill, so good on you for staying with it. All right, last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you so much for playing with me today. That's a really fun 4 on the floor groove with some cool variations. Type of variation you really might see as maybe an option later in a song. You start out with 4 on the floor and then you transition to playing that rack tom. So that's great. Thank you for playing with me. Good job. See you in the next one.
Hey everyone, in this practice session we're going to practice starting our drum fills on beat 1. So we're going to be playing 2 drum fills throughout this video. The first one is an 8th note drum fill, and it sounds like this.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1.
And the second one is going to be a 16th note drum fill, also starting on beat 1. Sounds like this.
1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1.
And then throughout the video, we're going to move that drum fill up around the toms as well, and I'll talk more about that later. So right now, let's start with just an 8th note beat on the ride cymbal. We're going to start with that 8th note drum fill with the floor tom and the snare drum. Here we go.
All right, so let's start with just the groove on the ride. Here we go. 3, 4. And just play this for a minute. Now let's try the fill. Here it is. 2, 3. Here's the fill. 1 bar of groove, 1 bar of fill. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can also try this soft to loud. Or we can play them all loud. Lots of different options. Let's do one more. Okay, nice work. So the next one we're going to do, 16 notes on the snare drum, 1 full bar. So let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the fill. 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. Okay, just hang on the ride cymbal for a minute. Now we're going to try adding in the toms. So we're going to go from the snare to the first rack tom to the second rack tom and then the floor tom. 4 notes on each. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try that again. And again. One more time. All right, nice work. Take a break. Now, if you don't have that mid tom, that second rack tom on your kit, that's totally fine. I'm going to show you one other way that you can practice this. We're going to go from the snare to the rack tom, back to the snare, and then to the floor tom. It's going to sound like this. Here we go. And again. Go back to using the mid tom. And again. And here's the last time. Here we go. Well, there you go. Those are a few ways we can play a full bar drum fill starting on beat 1. We played some 8th notes on the floor tom and the snare. We practiced moving some 16th notes from the snare up to some of the toms as well. Lots of different options that you can use starting on beat 1. Nice work, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right, we're back working on our speed. We're going to push the tempo even a little bit further today, and we're going to work on removing even more notes, right? As we get faster, that's a really great way to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, is leaving out some of our right-hand notes. So let's jump right into it. We're going to put quarter notes on the right, and let you know what to do from there. 1, 2, 3. All right, as always, let's check in with our grip. Nice and relaxed. If you find yourself dropping the stick as we do this, you're doing the right thing. That means you're super relaxed. No tension. You're breathing. All right, let's work some crashes. Let's try a left-hand crash. Ready? 1, 2, left-hand crash. Very nice. Try another. 1. Ready. How about a double crash? 1. Ready. Let's do that one more time. 1. Ready. All right, this time, let's crash and move to 8th notes on the floor tom. And remember, we're going to leave out that one note right after the crash. Let's try that. Ready? Here we go. over to the hi-hat. Crash, leave out a note, and then continue with 8 notes. 1, 2, ready, and. Quick, grip, check in. Ready? How you looking? Nice and relaxed? Not locked? You should still feel nice and comfortable. Let's take a quick break here. Ready? We're going to end with the crash. Quick break. 1, 2, ready. All right, great work so far. Let's try something new. So we worked on leaving a note out after a crash cymbal to give ourselves even more time to get back to our 8th note groove. So we can do the same thing going from an 8th note groove into a crash. You might have felt so far that it's a pretty quick motion, like especially from the floor tom, it kind of feels like this. From that last floor tom note, it's a pretty quick motion to get to that crash cymbal. I'll do it again. So a very common thing that we can do is leave out the last note before the crash cymbal, like this. See, I'm leaving out the and of 4. So as we get faster, that makes it a little bit easier to get to that crash cymbal note. So let's try that. Let's do exactly what it was. Let's play on the floor tom an 8th note groove, and let's work on leaving out a note right before the crash and right after the crash. Let's try it. 1, 2, ready, and. All right, so before we do this, let's think about it. We're gonna leave out the and of 4 and the and of 1. So the note right before and after the crash cymbal. Let's see if we can keep our groove going. All right, let's try it this time. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, how's that? Let's try it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again. So you can see my arms, I've got lots of time to get up to that crash. And this is super useful as we get faster. All right, last time. Here we go. Very nice. So I know we jumped into that pretty quickly there at the end. Don't worry, we're going to get more practice on it. I'll see you soon.
Hey everybody, today we're going to work on 4 on the floor. So let's hop right into it with our basic 4 on the floor groove, and we'll move it from there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3. Now already, this feels great. This is an awesome groove to play. So many different contexts. You'll hear, now that you know how to play it, I'm sure you'll hear it in other songs. We're just gonna hang out here for a minute, just get comfortable. Really want to make sure that we feel good about all these drums hitting at the same time on beats 2 and 4, right? Nice and steady. Now we're gonna move over to the floor tom on our right hand. So I'll count us in, but that right hand is going to move over to the floor tom. Here we go. I'll count us. 1, 2, 3, 4. Floor tom. Nice rebound on that floor tom. Nice and open. Staying nice and steady. Now we're going to move the right hand. We're going to add, on beat 4, we're going to move it to the rack tom. So we'll start with just one beat on the rack tom. Beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now we're gonna add. We're gonna keep that 4, but instead of playing just one hit, we're gonna play 2 hits. So we're gonna play 4 and. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. And nice open strokes on those drums. We really want to get them bouncing up. You can really use the rebound of the stick to kind of get a nice bounce. Now we're going to take this beat and we're just kind of playing around with moving it around. If you can keep your beat steady while changing the placement, changing the drum you're hitting, that's a really important skill. So what we're going to do is keep the left hand doing what it's doing, and then we're going to move the right hand to the right. Okay? So here we go. Not yet. I'm going to count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. You feel pretty big change, right? Moving from that floor tom to the ride cymbal. So let's hang out here for a bit. This is a cool beat. I love this beat. And this is the kind of thing you might not play an entire section like this, but you might just add this as a variation sometimes. There's a lot of different ways to approach it. We're just trying to iron out some of the common ways that we like to move this beat around. So this is a lot of coordination, but you're doing great. 2, 3, 4, and 1. We're gonna add a crash every 4 bars. So not yet, but I'll count us off. At the beginning of this next one. 2, 3, 4, crash. 2, 3. Good job, 1. It's a lot. We're moving around a lot, so you're doing good. Way to stick with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, crash. Good job. Probably the hardest part is getting that 4 and followed by a crash. So let's really focus here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and crash. Good job. And at this point, we've done so much moving around of our limbs that hopefully this kick drum is starting to feel almost like second nature. You're just letting it stay on the downbeat. All right. We're gonna play a crash and then we'll finish it. 2, 3, 4, crash. All right, that's some 4 on the floor practice with some really cool variations. We've got right hand to the floor tom or to the ride cymbal. We're taking our left hand, moving it up to the rack tom. Good job. You're really becoming an expert at 4 on the floor. These are some really, really cool variations. So thanks for playing with me, and I'll catch you at the next one.
Hey everyone, in this practice session, we're going to put your drum fill skills to the test by playing a drum fill starting on every single beat of the bar. So we're going to start by playing a fill on beat 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1. And throughout this video, we're going to use 2 different drum fills, the first one being 8th notes between the floor tom and the snare drum, And the second one is going to be 16th notes played on the snare drum, and we're going to incorporate some toms as well. So to start off, we're just going to play an 8th note money beat on the hi-hats. We're going to end every fill with a crash cymbal. And right now, let's start with fill number 1, which is 8 notes with the snare and the floor tom.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.